Hi all, Yankee farm wife here. Well, first things first. I am generally right about everything. My husband will tell you all about it, but I may owe RFK Jr. an apology. All the snark I've dumped on him when behind the scenes, he's been birthing one brilliant idea after another. Perhaps he's not the total burnout I thought he was, and he does look at addiction from the unique vantage of not only being an addict himself for several decades, but also a drug dealer who supplied heroin and whatnot to heaven knows how many people who potentially died of overdoses. Now, today that would put him in jail, but instead he is a high-ranking government appointee. Now, talk about making America great again. But back to my topic. You see, I am a Yankee farm wife. Like Bobby, I'm a fan of the agricultural country lifestyle. It turns out that RFK's solution to all our ills, literally, is to shuttle our problem people off to farms where they can rehabilitate naturally.
Peace Corps started the space program. My space program, my Peace Corps program, is going to be wellness farms, rehabilitation facilities that I'm going to start in rural areas all over the country where people, any American can go for free, any of them who is dependent on drugs, either legal drugs or illegal drugs, psychiatric drugs, which every black kid is now just standard put on Adderall, SSRIs, benzos, which are known to induce violence. And those kids are going to have a chance to go somewhere and get reparented.
For example, it is common knowledge people who are reliant on antidepressants are a bunch of wimpy, whiny slackers. And if instead of popping pills, they spent 8 to 10 hours a day crouched over rows of green beans, they'd completely forget about their depression. At minimum, their pain in their lower backs would cancel it out, or the organic sandwich they got fed for lunch would completely cure it. Organic food and exercise, according to Kennedy, are the ultimate cure for all mental, emotional, and physical maladies. Oh, and beef tallow. Lots of beef tallow, which won't clog your arteries at all. But not vaccines. Bad vaccines. Better to die of measles than live with the shot. Now, coincidentally and thankfully, RFK's work camps will get our crops picked now that our migrant workers have all gone underground and aren't showing up to harvest. Brilliant, Bobby. 2 birds, 1 stone. Mea culpa. Now, why haven't we thought of this before? By the way, curious, would the camp uniforms be modern, bright orange, or striped as made popular during World War II Germany? Of course, the idea of reparenting African American and other minority youth by putting them into an agricultural labor camp is another stroke of genius. Take them away from their families and friends and make them pick bugs off of organic produce in the hot sun all day, or perhaps pick cotton. My husband tells a story about a business trip to Spartanburg, South Carolina many years ago. And as he drove through the cotton fields with his client, he commented on all the wasted cotton left behind by the harvesting equipment. The client responded, "We had a better way, but you Yankees came down and made us stop." Bad Yankees. So here's how we make reparations to the South for our thoughtlessness. And it's fitting that a Yankee from Harvard came up with the idea. And remember, it's not at all unethical as long as these unpaid workers are fed organic food and get lots of exercise, thereby guaranteeing them excellent health. Now, do you remember how strong and healthy slaves looked in those antique etchings? But really, erase those silly visuals of slavery from your little noggin. This is nothing like it. Right, Patchouli? Nothing at all. These youths may not submit willingly to camp as they won't understand it's for their own good. You may have to have some never mind. I mean friendly folks in uniforms raid ghettos the way they did in Warsaw during World War II to harvest workers for the camps. ICE can help. They've been getting lots of practice. Now, how else can you convince kids you have their best interest at heart? Remember how well it worked when we established Indian boarding schools? We ripped kids from their families, took away their culture, their language, language, their roots, and tried to anglicize them. And now all our disenfranchised indigenous Americans, at least the ones who aren't buried in the mass graveyards back at the schools, are ripe for the picking, literally. Bring them down to the farm with all the minorities and put them to work. And all the mentally ill who are addicted to selective serotonin reuptake inhibitors. Losers. I mean, RFK insists all they need is some willpower, which a life of hoeing vegetables under the watchful eye of the kindly overseers will surely cure their lazy, self-indulgent selves. Why hadn't anyone thought of this before? It's not classist or elitist or racist or even condescending. It's high time we hide these people out of sight of normal Americans while forcing them to be productive. And while we're at it, why not toss in everyone with autism? That'll solve our President Musk problem. Now, what about those with Down syndrome, traumatic brain injuries? Surely they should be able to pick cotton or zucchini or make themselves useful in some way. Wow, now that I think about it, Bobby may be even smarter than I thought. Go, Bobby's brain! Since the government cut funding to independent farmers who already spent that promised money prepping for the upcoming growing season, many of these family operations will go under and be forced to sell to Dictator Don and President Musk's billionaire corporate farm friends. Bobby, I see where you're going with this. You are so clever. You may get a congressional medal. Free labor for the rich agricultural operations. Freaking brilliant. Let's shut down, buy out, and refit these farms as camps for the addicted, mentally ill minorities, but not immigrant workers, because you'd have to pay them, the same ones without addictions anyways. Now, you save the money that you might have spent helping parents take care of and educate their kids, get quality daycare, buy fresh produce, or maybe even offer better pay to caretakers in the residences we already have, so it can attract and retain highly qualified help. But why bother when we can make them work for organic food rations instead? More money in the pockets of our benevolent billionaire friends. I do have some concerns, however, of a personal nature. Now, just about 8 years ago, when Dictator Don first came into power, I was having trouble focusing and functioning. Watching him ban Muslims from entering the country and making nicey nice with neo-Nazis and kissing Putin's derriere and sucking up to racists and other very unsavory un-American types. My doctor prescribed a little Prozac to get me through Donnie's dictatorship. It helped my function, lessened my anxiety, and when Biden took over, I stopped taking it and all was right with the world. Early last November, for some strange reason, I started feeling anxious again, as did Bobby. I can't give him Prozac. Go figure. So my primary again prescribed Prozac for me. I know. If I exercised, got fresh air, ate organic, here's the snafu. Bobby, what's the snafu? The snafu is, I am literally a Yankee farm wife. I already live outdoors. I lift heavy stuff from dawn to dusk, and I walk 5 miles minimum each day, just turning out horses and bringing them back into the barns. I've been a vegetarian for 43 years and vegan for almost as long. I try to eat organic. I seldom eat processed food. I've never been obese. I meditate. I do yoga. Despite all this, I've been diagnosed with heart failure for no reason that my cardiologist can figure, aside from genetics, because both my parents died very young of heart failure. Go figure. I take metformin for prediabetes despite being the poster child for someone who should never get diabetes, except that, both my grandmothers had type 2. And first thing every morning, I reach for my box of pills and I take my levothyroxine to control my hyperthyroidism, which is a crap disease to have, but, genetics. If I'd only started eating well sooner, maybe when I was like 20 instead of 21, maybe I wouldn't now be a candidate for an organic anxiety work camp because of my SSRI addiction. Would I be excused because of heart disease? Hard to say. But if 8 hours a day of hard labor and lots of veggies hasn't cured me, I'm not sure Junior can either. I can, however, tell you what would help me and millions more spineless, weak-willed Americans to get off these nasty meds. Impeach Dictator Don, send him back to Florida or Camp Guantanamo or Moscow, or let him go build a resort in Gaza. Then send President Musk off to autism work camp. Anxiety? What anxiety? Bobby, if you cared about us at all, if you truly wanted to help us be healthy, you'd find a way to make it happen. If not, it was all just a load of shtick in exchange for money. And you will roast in hell with the rest of them. Meanwhile, I look forward to seeing all of you at Depression Camp this summer. I'll bring the vegan marshmallows and, well, if I'm allowed to bring my metformin, of course. Sincerely, the Yankee farm wife. Stick around for just a few seconds because we've written a special little sonnet for our two dictator friends. A belated Valentine's Day sonnet for Dictator Donny. Shall I compare thee to a sad cliche? Thou art more boring and more desperate. While Putin is the cause of your decay, your White House stay will buy you short respite. Sometimes too hot the eye of truth doth shine, and those you think you fooled can see you've skimmed from persons you've convinced that you're divine, whom Fox News hast their brain cells slowly dimmed. The rule of law to you dost not apply. The Constitution is but yours to break. Our nation's loss is your new battle cry, while Putin's loins to own our country ache. So long as Russia holds videos of thee, so long Putin owns you, and next, our country. All right, everybody, have a great day.